Yeah, no, it's a quality win. Like, of course, you know, as we were talking about, like, there will be things in every game that you can go back and watch and say, hey, we have to be better here. The three-point basket that Clarkson hit late in regulation, you know, the communication, the film, those things. But the resilience by this group, you know, when it's, again, easy to show up and say we don't have our guys, there's no pressure to have to win. They continue to show that night in and night out, they are going to compete. They're going to stick with the habits and the fundamentals, principles that they work on daily and hold each other accountable to those things. And, yeah, another good win for this team without their main guys.
Big game. I'm glad you mentioned it. A 14-point lead. I think what we learned in the NBA is that no lead is large enough in this league, but especially with Utah, who shoots the three ball 23 today, 15 times this season. They've hit at least 20 in a game. They're at a historic clip on that side of the floor behind the arc. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's go back to Staples Center. Dennis Schroder is with Mike Trudell.
All right, Dennis Schroder, look, you had to do a lot of work at the end of the fourth quarter just to get to that overtime. What were you seeing from Utah's defense as you got to the cup multiple times?
You know, just try to be aggressive, you know, off pick and roll. You know, LeBron does that normally, and I just try to, you know, until he comes back, try to be aggressive, try to get to that cup, and if they're committing, you know, try to find the weak side for open threes and open dunks, and I think it worked out well tonight.
Yeah, then you get to the overtime, Dennis, and you guys were getting stop after stop. Finally, I'm sure it was frustrating at some points of the game as Utah kept hitting threes. Where did you guys lock in on that side of the court?
I mean, you know, first to get to that point, you know, it was up 15. That can't happen, you know, that they're tying up the game and going up 2 late in the fourth. But I think, you know, in overtime especially, you know, we got stops. You know, we attacked down the lane, played with pace, shared the ball, and that was the key for the game.
And finally, it looked like you're starting to establish some chemistry there with Drummond. You had the lob, of course, in overtime. What are you starting to learn about his game, Dennis, and where do you think that can take you guys moving forward?
I mean, he's a big key as well, man. Defensively, if he locks in, you know, he can be an X factor for us as well. Offensively, you know, he's putting so much pressure on the rim. When AD and LeBron comes back, you know, it's going to be really scary, you know, because he's putting so much pressure on the rim. So you got to take that as an advantage.
All right, Dennis, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
Let's talk a little Dennis and Andre Drummond. First, Dennis Fish, I want to start with you just from that point guard position. 25 points, 11 of 24, just 1 3, but 8 assists, 6 rebounds. Dennis came in 2 days ago questionable, even questionable again today with a possible foot infection or dealing with that. But he said he doesn't want to miss games. He's tough as nails. He continues to provide that stability and be that floor general that this team needs.
Yeah, and he, you know, new situation for him this season, adjusting a lot throughout the course of this season. Early in the year, okay, I'm a starting point guard, but I play with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. How aggressive can I be and or should I be when I play with those guys? Last 15 ball games, you know, without LeBron and AD, and continuing to find that balance of when do I go get mine, when do I set up my guys. And today he was ultra aggressive. And that's not usual necessarily for Dennis. 24 field goal attempts to get 25 points. Like, sometimes you have to do that in order to send a message to your teammates that you're here to win this game. And he recognizes AD, LeBron out. I could sit out, but I'm not going to because my guys need me.
And one time there in the fourth big game when I really turned my focus to Dennis and see how he would take care of the challenge ahead was he was on the bench when the Jazz went on that 12-0 run. And they went through that 6-minute scoring drought. He came in, he calmed things down. He knew what guys to go to when necessary, and as you mentioned, balance to take his own shots.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's exactly like Rondo, but he gives you that feeling when he has the ball in his hand, and he's learning how to do that. I don't think he always knew how to read defenses, understand how to utilize the shot clock, know how when a guy's opponent is in foul trouble, try to go to that guy and get him in foul trouble. He's a really smart guy. And the one thing that I sense that I feel like he's got like an invisible chip on his shoulder because I don't think that he thinks he's any less than any of the top guards in the league. When he plays against them, he goes at them really hard. And he's just a great addition to this club. And without LeBron and AD, he's been the pulse. He's been the guy that, you know, can get his own bucket, shoot the three, shoot the 14-footer, the 10-footer, make the assists. He's really been our MVP since they've been out.
You know, the other day I heard a quote from Chris Paul, who we've talked about the respect Dennis has of Chris Paul, and he mentioned it, watching him, especially during the stretch without LeBron James and Anthony Davis, just the way in which he has managed the floor and kept things in check for the Lakers. Transitioning over to Andre Drummond. I'd argue this was his best game, big game in a Laker uniform so far. I know there hasn't been a lot, and it was nice in Brooklyn, but today on both sides of the floor, he hit his free throws. He was 7 of 8. He had 3 assists, 2 steals, big in the third quarter, 27 points, 8 boards.
Yeah, I mean, we knew when we signed him what he could bring to the table. I think it just took a few games, you know, a little film sessions, a little conversations with, you know, guys on the floor and off the floor, and I think the coaching staff has kind of found some sweet spots for him. I didn't really think it was way out, you know, pick and roll and rolling. You know, New York exposed that defensively. Of course, New York's a good defensive team. But I think, you know, he's found his sweet spots. His team know where to look for him. He likes to flash into that middle. And, you know, his defense and put the ball on the floor reminds me of Shaquille O'Neal going full court. And, you know, he's a monster in the paint. He just throws his body around, and before you know it, he's got the ball in his hands, putting it back up. So, yeah, he's getting used to his teammates. His teammates are getting used to him. He understands the flow. It's getting better.
Yeah, and you know, before coming to the Lakers, he hadn't played a basketball game since February the 12th. And he comes to the team, you know, 6 weeks essentially later, toe injury, out again. So I think he's also, from physical conditioning, his body adjusting to being back in an NBA games every other night, the travel, everything that comes with it. And, you know, look out if he continues to get comfortable finding his ways to be effective on this team and can be this efficient. It just continues to get scarier. You know, LeBron talked about the thunderstorm coming. You know, as they get healthy, this team is going to be really, really challenging to play against.
One thing that has been a bit surprising but refreshing for me is, you know, when the Lakers went to add a piece there in the buyout market, a lot of the talk was about understanding what they had already in place. And when you add a piece, you want to make sure that they're able to seamlessly make that transition into what's already going on. And I've been a bit surprised in a good way with Andre Drummond and his attitude, his want and desire to lead when he can, and make his mark, but do it at his pace. As